Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about a pretty illuminating scoop in the New York Times about Judge Aileen Cannon. We learn that when she was assigned randomly, it really does appear to have been random, the Mar-a-Lago case, two judges on her court called her up to try to persuade her not to take the case. And the details, as they sort of are revealed in the text of the Times article, but also between the lines of the Times article, I think really tell us a fair bit about what has been going on from the start. Well, not exactly the start, because recall the start for Aileen Cannon was this debacle where Trump managed to get her to completely suspend and take off track a conventional challenge to a search warrant. And she appointed a special master and was going through all these evidence determinations. And once the DOJ was able to get it up on appeal, they totally first in denying the stay and then on the merits, reversed her and excoriated her. And this was a panel written by the chief judge, a conservative judge on the 11th Circuit, Judge Pryor. So really gained her an immediate reputation as a doofus and possibly a pro-Trump judge. She was, remember, the very last judge appointed by him at the very end of his term. Okay, we now learn 6 months pass and the search warrant ripens now into an indictment, and they go to choose that randomly. And sure enough, it comes up Cannon. The lawyer apparently said, can I try it again? The DOJ was, I think in their calculations, do we go Florida or DC? One of the real things in the scale was, of course, if we go Florida, we look better venue-wise, but we could draw that nutwing Cannon, and of course that's what happened, and the consequences have been huge. Anyway, we learn then that she received not one but two calls from judges to not take the case, and the chronology here I think is really telling. One judge who is not the chief judge. But I think we can infer that in coordination with the chief judge, calls Cannon up and says, this case would really be better off in Miami. The courthouse is better set for security there. And you're going to have to build, you don't have one out here, a SCIF, a place to be able to look at national security classified documents, which, by the way, they have had to build at a cost to taxpayers of millions of dollars. And I'm thinking it might be a good idea to really let someone else do the case. So that's what they said. Now, let me take a step back and say, you become a new judge, and I know this from clerking and just knowing judges. Your colleagues, that's it. You have left your old life behind. Your small number of colleagues are the most important people in your professional lives. Your ability to flourish, to be liked, to be respected has everything to do with your colleagues. And new judges typically are very eager, especially if there aren't, pre-existing rivalries or animosities to do well. That would be maybe number one advice that you're told at baby judges school, which they actually have, by the way, at DOJ. And so it's remarkable to have gotten this call already. But then when she says no, the next call is really eyebrow raising. It's the chief judge of that court. And the chief judge is, to the extent of what I said about the colleagues, to the extent you have a boss, you're a judge, you're independent, but to the extent you have your boss, it is a chief judge and how the chief judge regards you. That's going to be just a critical part of your professional standing. Any new judge really, really wants to have optimal, great relations with the chief judge. So here, the chief judge calls up after she rebuffs the first judge and says, look, let's be candid. I think it's clear that the first one was a kind of a give her an easy excuse, be, gentle on her. So, let her see the writing on the wall without really, shoving her face up next to it. Had to shove her face up next to it. The chief judge said, look, with what's happened before, that is the debacle with the search warrant, the optics of your having this case are just not good. And you really should give it up. That is as close to a command as a judge gets besides, of course, a reversal from the Court of Appeals. That's as close to a demand as a judge receives. And a new baby judge, it's extraordinary that the district court, who is, by the way, a George W. Bush appointee, so not if she's, living in Jets and Sharks world, not a dirty lib. They said, don't take this case, give it up. And she says, no. That is really telling. She so wants the case that she is willing to buck the chief judge. And now let me get to I mentioned there were things that you can see between the lines in the New York Times report, and here's what you can see. This is spread like wildfire among the federal judiciary. I mean, among other things, a call like that would be strictly confidential. And the indications are maybe the chief judge has kept it. But man, there is tongue wagging all through the district. It looks like the 11th Circuit as well. That's a very big part. The New York Times as much as says, 20 people confirm this, judges, people who know judges. So you can imagine where judges congregate, there's just all kinds of, can you believe Cannon? The chief judge actually told her to not take the case and she didn't. That's really a stunner, right? So it shows just how kind of out of the ordinary and cheeky Cannon was to tell her new chief judge, forget about it. I'm keeping the case. All right. So that already, what's going on there? So it seems like she really, really wants it. And now she keeps the case and we proceed on this whole really, model of how not to manage a case that has, even without a report like this, just given rise to, little by little, as between the suppositions of she's incompetent, she doesn't know what she's doing, and she's in the tank for Trump. It seemed to have gone more and more to, God, look at that, she must be in the tank. And indeed, her stewardship of the case has been characterized by taking up and giving elaborate treatment to ridiculous motions. That's going to happen today when she's going to hold a 2-day hearing, perhaps, over whether the special counsel, Jack Smith, has authority in the first place, an issue that's been decided all over the country, completely settled. And she's not only doing it, but doing something no one's ever heard of. She's bringing in people to argue who aren't the parties, two of whom are expressing this pro-Trump view that's very idiosyncratic, doesn't get, but at least gets them maybe tenure, or, it's one of them's a former AG, so it's provocative, but nobody would give it the time of day. But that's Cannon for sure. And then the other thing she's done, of course, is after having these things raised that would be settled, she has taken forever and literally to date, it's just not decided questions. Again, could it be a purposeful strategy to not get reversed? This makes it far more likely that it is that she knows that the court is really displeased with her and considers her an embarrassment, and is probably just looking for half a chance to just get her the hell out of there. So she is desperate to keep things from going up to the 11th Circuit. At the same time, there is, as auxiliary to her court, a very well-respected magistrate judge who typically would be doing a lot of this work. She's essentially sidelined him, Magistrate Judge Reinhardt, and has been doing it all herself and really, really mucking it up. So, look, what can you make of this? That combined with the way she was handling the case, we know she was urged not to by the chief judge, and she still refused. It just seems apparent to me that she's made a strategic decision from way back. I'm not going to get ahead in this world by putting my head down and doing some hard work and getting the respect of my peers, and especially the chief judge, and how much that matters. And I do this for a while. And at the bench bar conferences, people respect me as a judge. I got another bet to place, and that is on Donald Trump, because notice it's no surprise, but as Trump is completely having tirades against every judge involved, he's not against her. And of course, she's been an amazing buddy here on what is an extremely cut and dried case that doesn't have the same kind of political complications of, are you going after political speech? He's just a thief who took classified documents, wouldn't give them back. It's really a very strong case that should have been tried long ago, and he should have been convicted long ago. Instead, in his luck on different levels, Fulton County, Fani Willis blows up, and January 6th, the Supreme Court intervenes. So here there wouldn't be an obvious way to protect him, but Judge Cannon has. And this report makes it seem so likely that she's just placing a professional, wager, the way I'm going to get ahead in this world. And I mean ahead, right? He's such a crass president. I think he wouldn't hesitate to try to give her an appointment on the Supreme Court of the United States. She's young, very conservative. What's it matter if she's not, very good or smart judge? But otherwise, how can you account for what is really unprecedented? Well, yes, I think I would go with unprecedented, but certainly I've never heard anything like this sort of recalcitrance and just bad behavior toward the chief judge, the whole court. She must be really, everywhere she goes, the whispers must go behind her. She must know that. And she's staying the course, hoping for a Trump victory in November, which would pole vault her into, even greater prominence. That, to me, is really the conclusion that is damn near inescapable from this report, which, again, I want to say, having been a clerk and spent time behind courts, the very genesis of it, the two calls, especially that second call from the chief judge. Okay, Aileen, let me tell you the story, that she then thumbs her nose at, is really beyond remarkable. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.